Hello, everybody. I'm Scotty, and this is Scotty's Toy Box. Welcome. Feel free to grab a chunk of that there internet and pull up a piece of it and have a sit down, get comfy, get a drink, and listen to me rant a bit. Because I'm going to rant. See, I haven't done a video in a while, and I'm not about to apologize for it. Seriously. I mean, I don't get paid to do it. I see a lot of these YouTubers, they get on there. Oh, I haven't done a video in a while. I haven't done one in a week. Shame on me. I'm such a bad person. And I'm just fed up with idiocy, stupidity. I don't want to hear stupidity anymore. If you don't feel like doing a video, and it's not how you keep your earnings for your living, then just don't do it. If you want to do it, do one. Doesn't matter whether people are watching it or not. Very few people watch these. I know. I see the counts. I'm lucky if I watch the dang thing and I have to post it. Anyway, well, I've had a busy last couple of weeks, 3 weeks here actually, and I could spend my time telling you all about it, but I don't want to bore you. What I do want to tell you about is I'm tired of stupidity. Today, just today, for example, on YouTube, I listened to a flat earth person try to tell people that mountains were actually giant tree stumps. He had a picture of a tree stump and a picture of a round mountain in a, I think they call them a butte or something. And I think it was that famous one in Australia. You know, there's a kind of a roundish mountain. But anyway, there's a few of them around. And he went to great lengths to tell us how back before the flood and everything was different. Oh, it was much better. And, you know, he didn't even have his biblical facts right. And then he started talking about giants and that. And yes, the Bible does talk about giants, but they weren't 40 and 50 and 60 feet tall. And we didn't have trees that stretched 10, 15 miles, 20 miles up. I mean, stop and think about it. He's talking trees with a base somewhere around anywhere from 40 to 50 miles. Think how tall that frickin' tree's going to be. It's going to be tickling the moon. Not quite that bad, but you know what I mean. It'd be in outer space. So, I mean, it was just stupidity. And I mean, I sat here and found myself arguing with the screen going, well, they're composed of different things. We know how mountains are made. We have the continental drift theory. Plate tectonics. Excuse me for coughing on y'all there. Had a tickle in my throat for days. I can't get rid of its allergies and just pain in the butt. But anyway, I could go on, you know, minerals and geology. Don't worry, I'll learn to speak English someday. It's my primary language. So, but instead, this stupid person doesn't even bother to look that stuff up. Doesn't bother to try to figure out mountains are made of different materials than wood. No, and he's got it all figured out. It's just giant trees. And I'm surprised they don't rot. All right, back on another thing here. Again, it was a flat earth, but it was on the Geek Show, I think it was, where they have people on and they talk about ideas. They'll have a pro side and a con side, or they'll have something like they just have a lot of different people on different sides of an issue or a subject, and they let them hash it out. And I learn a lot by listening to these things. Yeah, it's not as much fun as listening to, you know, a TV sitcom or something, but I don't learn anything from TV sitcoms. So I'm listening to this guy, and we don't share politics, that's for sure, but we do share love of science and a love of honest fact. And he's talking, not arguing, but talking to a woman who sports flat Earth, and she's dumb. I mean, she's really dumb. And she's arguing against the Falcon 9 rockets, the first stage that come back to Earth and land. That is Elon Musk. His team has really done an incredible feat there. You know, that scientifically, and that is incredible. So he's showing a video of the rocket going up, and the rocket stages separating, and the rocket coming down. And she's arguing right over top of him as he's trying to describe it. She's not even being polite enough to just let the video finish. And, you know, I mean, it wasn't like it took a very long time. And he goes and watches these things, and he's right. 40 miles up and down the coast, you can see these. You don't need to have to be right on the spot. Well, first of all, if she and her people didn't see it, it wasn't true anyway. Second of all, as he's filming, now remember, this is a rocket 40 miles away or so, you know. I mean, don't remember the exact figures, but I mean, you can see this thing from the coast. I mean, I used to live in West Palm Beach, and I could watch the shuttle launches that were happening at Cape Canaveral. Okay? I forget how many hours it took to drive there. You know, that's 300 miles away or whatever. So you can see these things up and down the coast. So anyway, she's telling him how bad his camera is, and he's saying, well, it's this amount of camera, and it's a really fancy, expensive camera, and it's on max zoom. She's saying, well, it's so small. It can't be real because it's too small. You got a shitty camera. And I got to give him credit. I would not have held my temper. I would not have been so nice, because I just don't have time for stupidity. And they were pointing out in the chat, and I don't know if she was reading it, everybody was yelling, think of the distance. And she goes, well, look, we have cameras that can take pictures of the moon, and it's much bigger than that. She says, that's just a bottle rocket you're sending up. And nobody on the show said, well, the moon is a heck of a lot bigger than this rocket. I mean, we landed people on the moon. We're not landing anybody on the rocket. It's like when they say, well, gravity of Earth. Well, first of all, that was the other thing that was really stupid. They start talking about how the Earth must be flat because water's flat, right? Well, water is not flat. And I was in the Navy, and I can tell you, you get out over the horizon, the Earth is round, trust me. If you had any doubt about that, take an airplane ride. And I think, I don't know if you can get high enough up in a balloon, but you can get up there where you can look out and see, okay? So now, anyway, the thing about what they don't realize is the perspectives. The Earth is huge. So when they start talking about, well, you know, water has to be flat because otherwise it would fall off the edge. They don't realize that because there's gravity, and gravity is a weak force, but it's intense enough that we don't feel like we're on an up or down side of the Earth. There is no up or down. It's round, and wherever we are, we feel properly oriented. And the gravity works on the molecules and the atoms, and the more of these things an object has, and the more tightly together they are, the more gravity pulls on it. So that gives it more weight. I should say, it's not that more gravity pulls on it, it's the more gravity can exert. I don't want to say this. It makes an object heavier. Sorry, my other screen went off. By the masses, the atoms, and the density, and all that. But gravity is holding the water. So say my hand, the outside here is the curve of the Earth, and you got to remember it's huge. And a little tiny drop of water is right there. Now on my hand, it's going to run off. But if it was this huge Earth, the gravity pulling it to the center, that's where I think they think everything just goes down to the bottom of the map. It doesn't. It goes to the center. It's holding it all in. Okay? But this wasn't about flat earthism. It was about these people who were seeing these things and stuff that had already been debunked. You know, this is not something that you can argue there's maybe two sides to it. It's a social economic problem or whatever. You know, this is straight out stupidity. You can go online, you can Google it, which is a verb now. I didn't know that, but it is. And you can find out information. So there's no excuse to be stupid. I was listening to something else, and I can't remember the example right now of stupidity, and I just had to shake my head and go. It was a something about church, and the person who said it was an adult my age, and of course short hair and very serious looking. I'm going to tell you about God, why you're wrong. All right, I was listening, and he came out with a list of things that started with a bad premise, totally incorrect assumption, and ended up being something that if he'd have just gone to the library and said to the librarian, how does this work? They could have told him. If he'd have asked a third grade teacher, they could have told him. You know? Instead, he's pontificating on the internet and making himself look incredibly stupid. So here it is. Here's my thing with people. I'll talk with you. I'll be social. I'll have a discussion and a conversation. But I have no tolerance for stupidity. If it's something that, you know, you don't understand the nuance of, or you have to wrap your head around it or whatever. But if you come out and tell me that we're held down on earth through strings attached to us that we don't see, I am not paying attention to you, and I don't feel that I have to be respectful because you aren't even trying. Alrighty, well, that was Scotty's rant, 12 minutes. See how easy this is? You want to make a video, go ahead and make one. Alrighty, so this was on stupidity, not mine, but my view of it. Thank you again. Welcome. Hey, if you like the videos, hit the like button. You want to subscribe, that's great too. And if you're thinking about Patreon, you're in the wrong place because I don't have one, don't intend to. I'm not going to ask you for money. I just don't see the sense to it, and I think it's silly. All right, bye-bye. Hugs.